If we are continually talking about the negative, putting our focus towards the negative, focusing on problematic behavior with our teenagers, our brain likes to be right, and it will provide us evidence all day long to prove those thoughts and those beliefs. But I actually want my brain to work for me. I want it to bring me evidence of the good. I want it to show me and highlight the things that I want to see, right? I want it to show me that beautiful thing that my kid just did, that kind moment he had with his sibling, or, this amazing work that he put into a project, or whatever it is. I want to see that. That's what I want to tune my brain into. That's what I want to set my algorithm towards. And we can do that by where we place our attention and our focus intentionally, purposefully, mindfully. We have that power. Welcome to Parents and Teens Rising, the podcast that bridges the gap between parents and teens and helps families thrive. I'm Jasmine Chandler, teen and parent coach, wilderness rites of passage guide, and founder of Guided Passages. After over 16 years of working with young people, I know how challenging and rewarding these years can be. Each week, we'll explore real conversations, practical tools, and fresh perspectives to help you connect with your teen, support their confidence, and navigate the ups and downs. Let's rise together. Hey everyone, welcome back into the podcast. Over the next 4 Wednesdays, I'm going to be bringing you something really special, and that is a 4-episode mini-series called The Up-Level Reset. 4 simple shifts for a stronger 2026 to get your new year off to an amazing start. So for the last 4 Wednesdays of 2025, I'm going to bring you some huge resets to help you let go of what is no longer serving you and step into your new year with more confidence, inspiration, and clarity. Because the truth is that some of the biggest work we can do as parents is our own internal work. When we shift ourselves, it ripples out into our homes and to our kids. The way we think, the way we regulate, the way we interpret what's happening, that becomes the emotional climate of our households. So I was inspired to create this series because I have had to do my own work to start my reset process heading into the new year. I don't know about you guys, but for me, the last few months have felt really grindy, pretty heavy, and I don't know, just kind of like I've been really off a little bit and just focusing so much on all the to-dos and I don't know, the challenges and just kind of feeling heavy. I am not a proponent of just pretending that things aren't hard when they are hard. I absolutely recognize the value of feeling my emotions and processing through things that are hard. And so it's not that I always just want to put a happy spin on things or turn things around every time I start to feel stressed or negative. But I do want to recognize when I'm holding on to some habits or beliefs or things that are getting in my way and not helping me and not serving my life or my kids or my family. And that's kind of where I got to just the other night. I was writing in my journal and I just realized, like, dang, you know what? I've been holding on to a lot of old stories about how I'm too busy, how everything's a struggle, how, it just have to really grind to get things done. The weight of everything that's happening in the world right now, the things that I'm witnessing on the news and what's happening in our communities to people that we care about out in the world, that stuff's been weighing heavily on me too. There's just a lot going on between that and between, running my business and raising my teenagers and all the different things. It just starts to sometimes wear on us a little bit. And that's kind of where I was at and really focusing a lot of my energy on the problems and forgetting to remember my tools and remember to look towards what is going right and what is beautiful and the things that I'm really thankful for in my life as well, which are also just as true and just as present. And so while I was writing in my journal the other night, I literally just turned the page and I wrote down, I'm turning the page. I'm ready to set down this old story. I'm ready to rewrite it again as I head into this new year because I need a little reboot for myself. And I'm sure a lot of you are feeling the same way right now because I know it's not just me that's feeling the weight of a lot of the things, whether it's the economy and our grocery bills going up, or just things that are happening with our teenagers that feel heavy, or relational things with our partners, or whatever it might be. I want to give us all an opportunity to have a reset and a reframe as we head into this new year, so that we feel like we start 2026 inspired, connected to ourselves, our inner voice, connected back into our joy, remembering that, we're doing this life journey with our kids and our families because we love it, right? That we love being here, that we want to be here, that we want to create homes that are safe and beautiful and happy and joyful for our kids. And that's the kind of life that we want to live, right? That we want to remember the joy, remember the lightheartedness, remember that we can actually have fun and be inspired and move towards our passions and all the things that are most important, right? That we're not just here on this earth to be in the grind, but we're actually here to experience the beauty of this earth, the beauty of our communities, the beauty of our families, and connection with ourselves, with each other, and with the earth, and with, just this interconnected planet that we're on. So that's what I want to help us all move towards as we're letting go of 2025 and moving into 2026. What is no longer serving me? And what do I want to bring forward? And what are the tools that I have that I can help amplify that process and really move towards what I want for this new year to come? And, set my arrow that way towards what I want for myself, instead of towards what is wrong or what I'm not wanting to have happen anymore. Okay. So I am going to do this process with you. I am doing this for myself and sharing the journey with you so that you can hopefully get something from the process too. And maybe as a community, we can kind of do this together, right? If we're all, just out here taking on these little pieces and doing these little reframes ourselves, it's like that's how we're not only changing our own vibration, but also, collectively changing the vibration in our homes, in our communities, and ultimately in the world. So let's do this good and beautiful work together. All right. So that brings me to week 1 of this series. Today, we're starting with the simplest shift that can really create the fastest relief. And that's where we place our focus. Because when we stop scanning for what's going wrong and start noticing what's going right in ourselves, in our relationships, and in our teenagers or our young children, everything begins to change. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through 5 shifts that can really help us to shift the lens that we are viewing our life and our circumstances through. And it really has the power to shift our entire landscape and the way that we're moving and operating through the world. So the first shift that I want to talk about is our negativity bias, which is our brain's default setting. So our brains are not broken, they're protective, right? Our negativity bias is our mind's built-in tendency to zoom in on problems and threats and what feels unfinished. And that bias really helps us to survive, but it can quietly sabotage our day-to-day life and our relationships. If we're not careful, we start collecting evidence for frustration and disconnection, and we miss the moments of growth and effort and beauty that are all around us all the time. So naturally, our brain makes faster and stronger neural connections around negativity. That means we soak in all of the negative experiences and focus on them so much more readily than we do positive experiences. Our brain tends to naturally filter out the good things and hyper focus on the hard things. And if we're not paying attention and just letting our mind do its mind thing and run on autopilot, we can find, a week or two without giving positive attention to the good things in our lives, that all of a sudden we feel like the weight of everything just weighing so heavily on us because our brain unconsciously has just been gravitating towards all of the negativity, all of the problems. And that's what's been spinning in our brains. And as we know, what we think about, right, that impacts our emotional state, that impacts our behaviors, and that ultimately impacts our results. And so we want to start being a little bit more conscious about where we're placing our attention, right? And really start to shift out of that negative mindset and that negativity bias. How this often plays out in our homes is, for example, with our teenagers. We might really be noticing all the things that they're doing that are really frustrating, that annoy us, that make us angry, even. The things that we feel that they shouldn't be doing, the things that we feel are problematic, right? We focus on those things. That's what we're pointing out to them. That's what we're repeating over and over to ourselves. And what happens is that we start to see them as a problem instead of their behaviors. And it's really hard to even notice the good things that they're also doing because our brain is tuning in to all of those negative, problematic behaviors. So we have to be really careful and not just let our brains run on autopilot because it's going to help us to see problems. And we don't want to see our kids as problems. We want to see all the good things that they're doing and point out those things for them and highlight those things for them. So that's what they see about themselves, right? When we're always highlighting problems for them, we're highlighting all of their missteps, their mischores, their misbehaviors. They start to see those things in themselves, right? And that's what they're noticing about themselves. All of our interactions start to be centered around these behaviors or things that we're viewing as problems instead of, all the things that we love about them, all the things that, they are, doing really well in their lives, maybe even improvements that they're making that are going missed because we're focusing so much on the things that they're not doing right. And so that's one way that negativity bias plays out. It also plays out for ourselves too, right? Because if we're focusing on, the things that we are unhappy about with ourselves, or we are unhappy about with our job, or we are unhappy about with our grocery prices, or whatever it might be, right? It starts to feel like this very full bucket of negativity, right? That we're just packing on thing after thing. And then this thing is hard, and that thing is hard, and then this thing is also hard. And it feels like it can be really overwhelming, and our bucket can almost start to overflow with all these negative things that we're storing. And we want to, not just have that be the story, because there's also another story that's happening simultaneously. And that is that if you were to look out your window, you would see a lot of really beautiful things. If you were to look out into your community, you would see a lot of people out there helping, right? Being helpers, being kind, being compassionate. If you were to look into your own life, you would start to see there's so many amazing things that you can be grateful for, right? And when we place our attention on those positive things, that helps to shift us out of that negativity bias and not let that run the show and run the whole narrative of our experience. So, negativity bias is just something that we want to be really aware of, that this is happening in the background for all of us humans, right? And it can start to run the show. And is that the story that we want to have running the show? That everything is hard, that there's more problems than there are good things, and that life is just a slog that we have to get through, right? I don't know about you, but that is not the experience that I want on this, very short and impermanent journey that I'm on this planet, right? Me personally, I'm, about halfway through the ride, so that means that I want to be really intentional about how I'm spending my days and my energy and my thoughts and what I'm putting out into the world. I want to be a magnet for positive things to come my way. But if I'm focusing on negative things all the time, I magnetize more negativity towards me. And that's not what I want for myself. I want to magnetize positivity. I want to magnetize good people, kind people. I want to magnetize, really amazing behaviors from my kids. I want to magnetize positive energy in my home, right? That's what I want to create around me. And so much of that work happens by where I'm placing my attention and my energy. And if I'm just letting my brain run on autopilot, lean towards negativity, or if I am purposefully and consciously changing that story by paying attention to what's going right, what's working, and what's beautiful. Because I can tell you something, your teenager doesn't just have problematic behaviors. They also have so many beautiful, amazing gifts, talents, qualities that are happening at the same time. And if we can highlight those and notice those and pull those out and meet them in that place of their goodness, right? Of their emotional intelligence, they will meet us there every time. If we meet them in the negativity and point out the problems, they will meet us there. So we get to kind of choose, how things go and where the focus is in our homes. All right, the second thing I want to share with you today is the power of gratitude. And gratitude is not pretending that things are perfect. It is a deliberate practice of widening your lens. It helps your nervous system soften, your mind settle, and your heart re-enter the room. When you practice gratitude consistently, especially during hard seasons, you stay connected to meaning, to progress, and possibility. This is one of the fastest ways to shift your energy out of your negativity bias and towards positivity. Gratitude practice has been proven, through studies, through research, through spiritual practices throughout time to help uplift your experience. And this is not about toxic positivity. This is not about putting a positive spin on everything. It's just as important to notice the hard things and to feel the emotions that come up for us when we're experiencing hard things. Gratitude is the recognition that even when there are hard things happening, there are also beautiful things happening simultaneously. And so this can be as simple as, waking up in the morning and saying thank you that I'm alive. Thank you for this breath. This can be drinking a glass of water and being so grateful that we have clean, pure water to drink. This can be as simple as opening your door and looking outside and giving gratitude for the new day, for the sunrise, for the beautiful view that you're looking at outside your door, for the little flower that's, coming up from the ground, even though it might be wintertime, for, your cute little pet, for the food that you're eating, right? Every day there are so many opportunities to lean into gratitude, and we get to choose that. And as we choose that, it gives us more capacity to handle the hard things. If there are good things happening alongside the hard things, and I'm noticing them purposefully, and I'm paying attention to them, and I'm giving thanks for those good things, that helps me to handle the hard things. It helps me to realize that even though there are lots of challenges happening around me and in my world, there are so many beautiful things happening at the same time, and that gives me hope, that gives me inspiration, and that makes me feel content, even though life is not easy, even though I'm still facing challenges, right? So we build our capacity when we lean into gratitude, when we make time for that, when we prioritize noticing that throughout our day, all day long, there are little moments that we can be thankful for. We can be thankful when we eat our meals. We can be thankful when we drink our water. We can be thankful when we get a hug from our child. We can be thankful that we have a roof over our head, right? If we have health in our body, we can be thankful for that. We can be thankful for a healthy mind. There are so many things that we can lean into with gratitude. When I go on a walk, I'm thankful for my legs that work, that I can take a walk, right? Whatever it is, find a little gem to be thankful for. Gratitude is an experience amplifier. It amplifies your everyday experiences by making them feel important and special, and like they're not something to just take for granted. Everything that we have, every tiny little thing that we have, even if we do not have a lot, is something that we can lean into with gratitude. And that will help our entire inner world, our entire mental health and well-being, if we're leaning in towards what is going good and that we can feel thankful for in any given moment. All right, the next shift I want to talk about today is something called the circle of control. So a lot of stress comes from trying to control what we cannot control. And the antidote is really simple but powerful. So we can really ask ourselves questions like, what is mine to own right now? What is mine to do right now? So the circle of control recenters your energy on the choices, actions, and mindset you do have influence over. And when a parent shifts into empowered action instead of helpless worry, teens can feel that stability, even if they don't say it out loud. And so this is something really simple that we can do throughout our days. When we start to notice emotions like stress, overwhelm, frustration, annoyance, anger, we can really check in with ourselves. Where is my focus in this moment? Is my focus on things that are outside of my control? What other people are thinking, what other people are doing, what other people are saying, uh, you know, what is happening in the political landscape, what is happening with the prices, what is happening with the job market. Where is my focus? Is it on the traffic? Is it on the weather that is not my favorite? Whenever I notice feelings of stress or overwhelm or whatever it might be, I can check in. Where's my focus? Can I control this directly, or is this outside of my control? And if it is outside of my control, how can I regroup and center into what I can control in this moment? There is always something that I can do in any given moment related to anything, right? So if it's my teenager that I feel is out of control, what's one thing that I can do right now, right? Okay, I can ground myself. I can listen to a guided meditation. I can go out and take some deep breaths. I can go take a walk so that I calm my own nervous system so that I can show up with some more curiosity and compassion for them, right? For whatever they're going through. If I'm focused on all of the things that are happening politically that are really upsetting to me, right? That are impacting communities that I love and care about, or impacting the earth, or things like that, I can't control those, big policies and those decisions that are happening, but I can control if I make a phone call, if I send in a letter, if I join an organization, if I, share a post that might spread some awareness, right? What can I do? What is mine to do right now, right? And what can I hold? What do I have capacity for? Sometimes we try to be so aware of everything that's happening in our outer world that it really starts to weigh heavily on us. And so sometimes what I can control is turning off the news. Not that I want to close my eyes to injustice or whatever is happening, but that I need to recognize my capacity in any given moment. That sometimes I need to regroup myself before I can be present again for what's happening around me, right? If I'm not grounded, if I'm, getting overwhelmed and overtaken by the enormity of everything that's happening around me, then that might be a moment for me to shut off my Instagram and, not pull up the news station that I was going to listen to, and to instead go outside and reconnect to nature and have a glass of water or whatever it might be, right? That's in my control, where I put my focus. If my focus is leading me down a path of stress and anxiety, I can regroup and focus on something else in that moment so that I can have capacity again tomorrow to go out and take some aligned action. So, where is my focus? Is my focus on trying to control my teenager and all of their actions? Or is it on regulating myself? Is it on setting a boundary? Is it on following through on what I said I was going to do? So, where is my focus? I have a lot of power in my life when I redirect my focus to what I can actually control instead of expending lots of energy and worry and fear on the things that I don't have control over. All right. So this is a really powerful tool that we can just remind ourselves, right? If I can't control it, can I learn to accept it? If I can't control it, can I take some inspired action that could potentially have a ripple or have some influence over that thing that I can't control? And if not, can I redirect my focus into, what's going to support me in this moment, right? All right, the fourth shift I want to talk about today is shifting from scanning for problems to noticing solutions. So when we're depleted, it's really easy to become fluent in what isn't working. But the most resilient people aren't the ones with fewer challenges. They're the ones who are trained to notice solutions. And this shift doesn't ignore reality. It strengthens your ability to work within it. It helps you to move from what's wrong with us or what's wrong with me or what's wrong with you to what's one small step we can take next. So it's really just about reframing problems in order to shift our perspective around them. All right. So the types of questions that we ask ourselves about the problems that we're facing can really impact whether or not we feel resourced to move towards solution, or if we feel like we're just spinning in this never ending cycle of problems, right? If I'm asking myself questions like, what's wrong with me? Why did I do that? Why won't this change? And asking myself more and more detailed questions about these problems or what went wrong, that keeps me spinning in the cycle of problems. If I ask myself questions that are going to move me towards solutions, though, I can actually get myself out of that wheel and starting to take one positive step in the right direction. So, simple questions like, what do I want instead? What's the first small step that I can take? What would be a small sign of progress here? What's the first goal I want to achieve? So, really just thinking about, instead of what is wrong right now, what do I want instead? And what is one small step that I can take? I don't need to know the entire solution. I don't need to know the entire plan. But if I can just regroup and remember that there is solution, right? There is a way forward, but I need to think about this problem a little bit differently. And a lot of that starts with me regrounding myself, because when I'm in a stress response, I can't actually access my creativity and my curiosity and my problem solving skills, right? My prefrontal cortex goes offline when I'm in a stress response. And then I'm just in survival brain and I'm just thinking about like how to survive this moment. I'm not thinking about how to, propel change and positivity and forward movement. I'm just stuck, right? I'm stuck in that feeling of stress and anxiety and overwhelm. And so the only way that I can kind of get out of that stress response and that problem focus is to reground, calm my nervous system down. So, accessing some breath, right? Slowing down my breathing, tapping into my senses, doing some journal writing, listening to some music, whatever it is that calms me down, running a hot bath for myself, right? Finding a way to regulate my nervous system so that I can have a reframe and ask myself some questions that are going to move me forward. What do I want instead? What's one small step I can take? What's one small way I can start right now? And we can do this with our teenagers too when they're stuck in a problem. What types of questions are we asking them when they're feeling stuck? Are we asking them to dissect the problem? Are we asking for more and more details about the problem? Or are we asking them some empowering questions? Like, if there was a magic solution, what would that look like? And what do you think your next best step is? So, again, where are we placing our focus? This all kind of ties in together, right? Negativity bias, gratitude, circle of control, all of it leads into this. It's all the same conversation, right? Am I placing my focus on the problem, on my negativity bias, or am I moving myself towards solution? All of those things are things that I can actually control in my brain, right? When I don't just let my brain run on autopilot, when I actually start to bring some awareness to my thoughts, my experience, where my focus is, what I want for myself, I can actually start to propel a different reality, a different experience. But I have to do it consciously. If I'm unconscious, autopilot is what's running. Problem focused thinking is what's running. Negativity bias is what's running. Me living outside in the circle of no control, focusing on everything that I have no control over. Me focusing on all the things that I'm unhappy about in my life instead of the things that I'm grateful for in my life. This takes work and intention and coaching ourselves, reminding ourselves, right? And that's why we need some intentional daily practices to keep us remembering that there are alternatives. There is an alternative way to be. There is a way that we can work with our nervous systems, that we can really direct our focus each and every day. And the more we do this work, the better our whole experience is, not just for us, but for those that we're in relationship with, our partners, our children, our coworkers, our communities, right? All right, so the final thing I want to leave you with today is a daily affirmation challenge where you can really start to rewire your focus purposefully and intentionally. And this is just adding in one more tool that pairs really beautifully with this focus shift. And that is daily guided meditation or affirmation tracks. I know that saying affirmations or listening to affirmations can sound a little bit woo-woo at first, but this is actually a neuroscience-backed way to begin rewiring your brain towards what's right, what's working, and what's possible. Because what we know about the brain is the more we repeat something, the more it becomes ingrained, the more it becomes habitual, right? So what's usually happening on autopilot is that our negativity bias is running the show, and that it's made these very well-worn neural pathways in our brain, almost like superhighways of negativity, right? Our go to response might be like reactivity or anger or leaning towards the negative, right? And that's just how we have built our brains over time based on our lived experiences, which have often included lots and lots of challenges that we've had to face and maneuver through. But if we want to change those pathways, what we need to start doing is building new pathways that support the growth that we're wanting to have, right? And one simple way that we can do this is by repeating affirmations over and over and over, by breathing life back into what we actually want our energy and our focus to go towards. So when I'm telling myself things like, I am capable, today is going to be a beautiful day, I have everything I need, I am worthy, I am enough, I am a good parent, I'm going to show up in the way that I want to show up today for my life and for my children. I am going to be regulated today. I'm going to be calm. I am going to lean into positivity. The more we tell ourselves these things or listen to these things, the more our brain is hearing it, the more the pathways are developing, and the more it becomes our reality, right? Because the way we perceive reality is really based on the thoughts that we're feeding into our system. So I want to feed things into my system purposefully and intentionally that are going to create the reality that I actually want. And affirmations are a really beautiful way to do that. So what I like to do is listen to a 5 to 10 minute guided meditation or affirmation track in the morning time. If I'm going to the gym, I might listen to it on my drive to the gym, or if I'm not, I might listen to it sitting on a pillow on the floor while my coffee brews. But it's just a 5 minute quick way to start my day that sets me up for success and for what I want to feel throughout the day and how I want to show up. So you can do this a lot of different ways. One way is to download a meditation app like the Calm app. What I like to do though, because it's free, is just to find guided meditations and affirmation tracks on YouTube that I really like. This does take a little bit of experimenting because I personally cannot listen to a guided meditation with someone's voice that I don't like, or, if they just do it weird or the music is off or whatever. You have to find ones that you like yourself that really resonate for you. And so what I've done on YouTube is I created a playlist with all of my favorites, and I just keep adding to that playlist as I find new ones that I really like. And I'm actually going to put my playlist in the show notes so that you can access it. It just has a few of my favorites, like Emily McDonald, who has the YouTube channel M on the Brain, Nora Virginia. I love her guided meditations. I love Gabby Bernstein's meditations, Joe Dispenza. But there's quite a few in there for you to just check out and try out and see what you think. And that's just one way to start the day. I may even just add in some of my own guided meditations that I've made and affirmation tracks as well. So you can kind of keep an eye on that playlist too to see if anything gets added over time as well. But just a really simple, easy way to start your day and to set your focus to where you want it to go, to what is good, to what is right, to what is beautiful, to what you're grateful for, to all the things that you want to feel and experience throughout your day instead of the things that you don't really want your energy to go towards. The more we bring in that positive energy, the more we put our focus towards what we're thankful, towards what's beautiful, towards joy, the more we magnetize that energy towards us. Our brains are so powerful. What we tell our brains is important, we start to see more of. If we are continually talking about the negative, putting our focus towards the negative, focusing on problematic behavior with our teenagers, our brain likes to be right, and it will provide us evidence all day long to prove those thoughts and those beliefs. But I actually want my brain to work for me. I want it to bring me evidence of the good. I want it to show me and highlight the things that I want to see, right? I want it to show me that beautiful thing that my kid just did, that kind moment he had with his sibling, or, this amazing work that he put into a project, or whatever it is. I want to see that. That's what I want to tune my brain into. That's what I want to set my algorithm towards. All right. And we can do that by where we place our attention and our focus intentionally, purposefully, mindfully. We have that power. And as we do this work, it has the power to shift so much of our entire experience. And this is ongoing work, right? Because I just mentioned at the beginning of this episode that I've been in a slump. And so we have to remind ourselves of these things. It's not like it's just a one and done type of experience. Go listen to a 5-minute guided meditation and you're fixed for life. You've got this down, right? This is a daily, ongoing practice where we're paying attention to what we're feeding our systems. It's not just the food we eat and the water we drink, it's the thoughts that we think, right? These are all seeds that we're planting. What is it that we want to plant for our new year to come, right? Do we want to hold on to these old stories that aren't serving us, that make us feel like crap all the time? That are creating disconnection with our kids, that are creating toxic energy in our homes? No, it's time. It's time for a new day. We get to do this work with me, right? The more of us that do this work, the more our world becomes a better place. The better our kids are going to be doing. So it's not just about changing our teenagers and changing their behavior. It's not just about changing our partners. It's not about just changing the world. It all starts with us. When we do the work on ourselves, when we shift our own focus, our own energy, our own mindset, we have the power to change so many things in our lives. This is like a keystone habit that ripples out over time and creates positive effects all around us. So I really want to inspire you today. I want to inspire myself. Me just talking about all these things to you is getting me all lit up and fired up. I'm like, yeah, I have to remember my daily affirmations. I need to go out for my exercise and my walks and all of those things. It makes such a difference. I hope you're feeling a little bit of inspiration this morning. And I hope that you'll do this challenge with me. So I want to invite you to this 5-minute daily affirmation guided meditation practice for the rest of 2025. All right. So today is December 10th, 2025, right? I'm going to be back with you for the next 3 Wednesdays leading up into 2026. So I hope that you'll join me and commit to this practice all the way into this new year, so that you're really setting yourself up for a beautiful start to the new year, a beautiful shift internally inside yourself. I'm going to be doing it every single day, so I hope you'll join me. All right, so next what I want to do is give you 4 journal prompts so that you can process through the things that we've talked about today and really apply it to your own life. So I'm going to put these journal prompts in the show notes so that you can access them afterward. So you don't have to write them down, but I just really encourage you to spend some time thinking about these things and writing down your thoughts. All right, number 1, where have I been focusing on what's not working lately? And what has that focus been costing me emotionally, relationally, or mentally? Number 2, what are 3 things that are genuinely going right for me right now, even if they're small? And what does noticing them change in my body and my mood? Number 3, what is one thing I can't control that I've been carrying anyway? What is one thing I can control today that would help me feel more grounded? And number 4, what is one recurring stressor I'm ready to approach differently? What is one tiny realistic solution I can test this week? All right, so today we kicked off week 1 of the Up-Level Reset with working on shifting our focus, because what you consistently notice becomes the story you live in. We talked about how the negativity bias can distort your view of your teen, your life, and yourself, why gratitude is a real tool for emotional and relational resilience, how the circle of control brings you back to empowered action, how to move from problem scanning to solution noticing without denying what's hard, and the importance of adding in daily affirmations and guided meditations to start your day off on the right foot and rewire your brain towards positivity, groundedness, and more joy. And this isn't about pretending everything is fine, like I've said several times throughout this episode. It's about expanding your capacity to see what's right and what's possible. So if this episode helped you to breathe a little deeper or softened the edge of a hard season, I want you to keep going with me through the rest of this series. Next Wednesday, I'm going to dive into the power of your thoughts and beliefs and how to break out of the inner story that says you can't, you're not enough, or it's too late, and start building the belief system that supports who you're becoming in 2026. And one quick reminder before you go. At Guided Passages, we are having an online winter auction right now, which is raising funds for our scholarship funds for our Wilderness Rites of Passage trips and our in-person teen circles. And we're trying to raise $10,000. The auction has already started, and it closes this Friday, December 12th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So make sure to hop on and check out all of our amazing items and bid for a cause. There's lots of amazing things on there. There's gift cards for river rafting. There are services like massages, coaching sessions, somatic experiencing sessions, a ceremonial experience. There are Max Read hoodies on there. There's jewelry, there's seed bead earrings, there's art, so many amazing things that you can check out. But please do hop on there and take a look and put a bid in for an item that you might want to gift to someone or gift to yourself so that you can support our scholarships for youth and getting youth connected to themselves and to other kids and to mentorship and to nature. So we really appreciate your support with that. And if you enjoyed this episode, please do hop on and leave a review. It really helps to get this out to more people. And I can't wait to hear how all of these daily affirmations and these resets are going for you. Please do drop me a DM and tell me your takeaways and tell me how it's going as you're implementing some of these tools. All right. And with that, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Bye, everyone. Did you enjoy the show? If so, would you take 30 seconds to subscribe so you don't miss an episode? Leave a quick review so more parents can find these conversations, and maybe even share this episode to your stories. And if you want to connect, please send me a DM on Instagram. I'm at jasmine.guidedpassages, and that's Jasmine with a Y. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll talk to you next week.